Perhaps the least discussed among all of the citizenship by investment programs is that of the South Pacific island and country of Vanuatu. Today, I'm going to tell you why Vanuatu gets so little attention, why I rarely recommend it, and why I don't expect that to change anytime soon. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson here at Nomad Capitalist, my team of over 36 people, our network of global experts curated from years of traveling to places like Vanuatu over the last dozen years, and yours truly, help 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. You can learn more at nomadcapitalist.com, where we have written extensively over the years about Vanuatu's residence and citizenship programs. And so before we get started, I want to talk about the fact that there are two different opportunities in Vanuatu. One is you simply want to go and be a resident of Vanuatu. You can do that, you can live there, you can take advantage of the country's tax-free status. And so if you're just looking to live in the island or make it part of your trifecta, spend some time there every year, you may not need the citizenship, you just need a residence. That's not what we're talking about today. Nothing wrong with that. Now, the country also has a citizenship by investment program, or multiple citizenship by investment programs. Wherein lies the challenge? First, let's start with the good. It's fast. That is really the main selling point of Vanuatu, is that you can get your citizenship application approved pretty darn quickly. Now, as many of the Caribbean islands are moving their processing online and have continued to process pretty quickly during the pandemic, the idea of getting approved 2 weeks or 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks earlier, to me, doesn't really make a whole lot of sense considering all of the pitfalls of the Vanuatu program. Now, the other benefit of Vanuatu is that if you are traveling, if your passport portfolio has only Tier B and Tier C passports and you want to fly through Australia, for example, or fly through New Zealand in transit, a Vanuatu passport allows you not to enter those countries, but merely to fly through. So if you're going from Singapore to Vanuatu, for example, you're generally going to fly through Australia. And so therefore, you have that little bit of extra transit privilege with a Vanuatu passport, as well as the fact that this is an island nation that is basically in the middle of the South Pacific, far away from it all, that may offer some benefits separate from Caribbean countries that are closer to the U.S., that certainly have the hurricanes. But when you look at it from the perspective of most people are using their second citizenship as a flag to plant, a sort of flag of convenience, like a cruise ship registered in Liberia that never goes to Liberia, I think the idea of what's happening on the ground in your citizenship country is far less important than the quality of the passport itself. And that's where concerns with Vanuatu come into play. There are currently two different citizenship by investment programs in Vanuatu. There's the Vanuatu Development Support Program, the VDSP, and then there's also the VCP. Now, beyond that, there used to be other programs, the VERP, which was canceled, as well as the VCIIP. Now, I don't want to be OCD, but you get a little ADHD thinking about all of these different programs that have existed. And what's been most concerning to me, I was in Vanuatu, it's been about 4 years now, and I talked to some folks who were pretty significant there, folks who had been in government, folks from the banking industry. You go there, you can meet a lot of people. And they said, what do you think about our program? I said, I think it's confusing, and I think people don't like confusion. It's not streamlined. And I think that what had happened is, over the years, different interests. There was a group out of Hong Kong that had its own kind of special program at a special price, but could only be sold to certain kinds of people. It was really weird. And so it was that kind of murkiness that turned a lot of people off to the program. On top of that was the idea that, at least through one of those programs, the citizenship offered was an honorary citizenship. Now, there's some folks in the industry who have different opinions on that. Certainly, there are situations where one can be granted citizenship that has the full rights as everyone else. The idea, however, was that in Vanuatu, honorary citizenship did not convey that. And there was even some talk in the last year by some folks in the government that they were going to be issuing new economic citizens yellow passports rather than the country's very unique green passports to signify that there was a different status. Now, imagine you are traveling and you're going to the UK, or you're going to Europe, or you're going to Russia. How long is it going to take, especially a country like the UK, which really pays attention to this kind of stuff? Unlike many countries, they are aware of the citizenship by investment programs, and they want to make sure anyone coming into their country, is legit. And so imagine that the word gets out that people are carrying these yellow Vanuatu passports. Are they real citizens? Are they not real citizens? It got to be really confusing. And so the government really, has not put out clear guidance. You've had different people in the government saying one thing, then they come out and say, oh no, don't worry, everyone's equal. The reality is the original citizenship program, people weren't equal. There's been so much back and forth. There's been so many changes in the programs in Vanuatu that it's really hard to take them seriously until they create really what I would consider a proper citizenship by investment program, which is streamlined with proper rules, a single course of action, possibly different investment options. Right now it's simply a donation. You make a donation, a big chunk of which goes to local agents. There's a sort of monopoly that goes on where only certain locals can be agents. But they've talked about rolling out real estate options. But even if they do that, there's not a streamlined process. They need to have a streamlined process before I take the program very seriously. Certainly it's a bit more flexible. Certainly it's a bit faster than some programs. But I think that a program that's too flexible from such a small country, you wouldn't really want their passport because eventually you'd have a problem. And speed, again, becoming less and less of an issue. Even in St. Kitts and Nevis, for example, you can pay extra and you can rush your application and get it done in 60 days. We've gotten some applications done in darn close to 60 days recently. And so on top of that, there's just some weird things about Vanuatu's program, like payment up front and just the way the payments are structured. And so for all of those reasons, I almost never recommend Vanuatu's citizenship program. I find the country to be very interesting. I cannot say that it has the world's best beaches. Certainly, I think as you get further out into the islands and into the remote areas, you might find nicer beaches than you do on the main area near the city. But for me, it's an interesting place if you want to get a residence permit there. Might not be a bad tax-free residence to keep in your back pocket, is what we call back pocket residences, especially if you are from a country in that part of the world, from Asia, from somewhere in Australia, New Zealand, what have you. Not a bad thing to have, but as to the passport, really hard to take it very seriously these days. I hope that they can get it going, especially with all the rumors that there may be new programs coming about in the South Pacific from other countries. If that happens, I think that any competitive advantage that Vanuatu has will go away. I think that the program needs a lot of improvements before I would recommend it to almost anyone. How can Nomad Capitalist help you? 4 ways. Number 1, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to make sure you get our new video every day. Number 2, get a copy of Nomad Capitalist, the book. You'll learn a lot of my personal experiences over a dozen years of studying this stuff, as well as exactly some of the strategies that you can use to build your Nomad Capitalist plan. Number 3, if you're not sure where to start, but you want to come and learn from my team and I, you want to come and mingle with like-minded people, learn more about our live conference, Nomad Capitalist Live. It's coming up soon. And number 4, if you want some help right now because you've got a burning issue, you need something solved, you want to lower your taxes, get a second passport, or build the Nomad Capitalist lifestyle of your dreams, go to nomadcapitalist.com and click on Become a Client.